Penguin Random House presents The Reluctant Family Man, Shiva, in Everyday Life by Nilima Chitgopekar. Read by Monaz, Ranina. For Deepak, Dhruv, Tara, and Kabir. I stumble through this turbid life. I rummage through this sodden brain. I glimpse the gods go flitting by. I wonder if we'll ever meet. I am cognizant that there is a certain amount of impudence involved in writing such a book, as though one has all the answers. I am thankful to my editor, Manasi Subramaniam, who effectively eliminated all self-doubts and displayed confidence in this venture. It has been a pleasure working with her, and I appreciate that she was steadily prompt and precise in our correspondence. I especially enjoyed long conversations with my mother, Meera Gupta, who, no matter what, has always buoyed me with her pride in my writings. I am thankful to Dhruv, my son, for his suggestions and for patiently hearing me out despite his own tight schedules and deadlines. As for Deepak, I am grateful for him for just being there, always. Chapter 1. Introduction. If you want this, then do that. If you want that, then do this. Rules to follow, rules to ignore. What life doles out, is it in our control? Us, we exist. We live in quagmire of messy lives. We suffer through physical and emotional struggles. We propagate hurtful biases. We sully every compliment with suspicion. We brood, we fester. We resort to sarcasm liberally. We are miserly, we hoard, we wait endlessly for the perfect occasion. We never own up to being wrong. We rarely appreciate a gift. We wait for others to call. We are petty. We make do. We remain stuck in ancient regrets. We feel superior with inadequate knowledge. We are directionless. We find daily lives a drudgery. We find fault with everyone and everything. Not today, not yesterday, not now and then, but always. We are completely conceived that this is going to be the story of our lives. Them, they don't react when someone is rude to them. You rarely see them shout or slam doors, even when confronted by a major setback. They withdraw, calibrate, and turn the reversal to their advantage. They don't blame anyone for their misfortunes. Their compliments are genuine. They seldom make you wait for them. They know when to move away from an argument. They don't keep reminding you of the time you were mean to them. They forgive. They are curious about you. They don't go on and on talking about themselves. Even if you are to vent uncontrollably about someone, they will filter your conversation. They don't relish seeing you get in trouble. Their smiles, almost always, reach their eyes. They can laugh with complete strangers. They can make anyone laugh. They can laugh at themselves. They find fulfillment in things they have been doing every day. They seem to have a lightness about them. Everyone would agree that there is a lot of worth improving in the way we live and the way we experience the world. The moment of epiphany is when we realize that even we can become them with studied effort. That we can remodel parts of ourselves and thereby change our lives. Yes, if we want, we can tweak this life. Merely believing this fosters hope and inspires us into action. This is a crucial acknowledgement that vast numbers of people are oblivious to. The very first step is to have the willingness to embrace a typology or, better still, a philosophy of change. To become open to change. This would mean to validate change by initiating self-transformation. In this regard, there are two main types of change. One involves familiarizing ourselves with certain characteristics within that are doing us harm. We can try to eliminate, transform, or modify them. The second comes about if there is a sudden occurrence, good or bad, in one's life and refers to the change that is required to live with these altered circumstances. Both types of change entail a proactive role to be played with the individual. This is a crucial life skill to adopt and embrace, as it is increasingly apparent that those who adapt quicker to either one of these changes or to both can soften, if not eliminate, much agony in their life. For many years, I found it intriguing to see the way our divinities are depicted while coping with struggles in their godly lives. There are different ways to explore this through their appearance in iconic representations, literatures, scriptures, rituals, and myths. The source I have used in this book is mythology. Pithily, it is often stated that biography is about the life of humans and mythology is about gods. This is far too simplistic an observation. In actuality, myths are generally associated and have a symbiotic relationship with society. They are like a connecting chain where communication between people from different ages is through stories embodied in the myths. In other cultures, myths are often relegated to a distant past. At best, they are used polemically to indicate the erroneous belief or romantically to suggest an archaic or even sacred mode of discourse. However, myths in the Hindu tradition are very much alive and part of the ethos. They are narratives that endorse and empower our search for meaning through the ages. They are also simple and inviting stories that weave magic into the lives of people and creep into their very being, into their very essence, to be passed on from one generation to the other. Even though they are idioms of the imagination of the inner world, yet they bind, preserve, create a continuum, religious, social, philosophical, and historical. The individual revelatory experience is also validated by getting incorporated into mythology. Undoubtedly, some myths look like they are either meant to entertain or to symbolize a historical event. It seems that ultimately fantasy, history, reality, and thought merge to create mythology. Hindu mythology is humongous to the point of sometimes being unwieldy, partly because of certain unique traits it possesses. It is not static, but dynamic, akin to a living organism, amoeba-like, growing and sometimes changing radically, layer upon layer of history, seems to have got assimilated in myths which preserve traditions. Different myths mutate over the passage of time, with barnacle-like additions being made to them or truncations taking place in big and small measures. This is an inherent feature of the oral tradition, which evolves out of many combinations. This includes the Brahminical and the non-Brahminical voices. This gives birth to outstandingly curious and fascinating stories, which are constantly getting revamped. Since very little seems to get discarded, the result is a large storehouse of myths. The same myth may also have different versions geographically, with each region tossing out its own version of a story. This grand and yet inchoate nature of Hindu mythology could render one diffident in attempting to make sense of this veritable trove. Moreover, it is also true, when commenting on any Hindu myth, that there is always the risk that the opening of one vista may involve the closing of another. Yet, despite all these paradoxes, it is my understanding that mythology is a vast cultural resource for our perusal, free and easy to access. Anybody attempting to fathom aspects of the Indic ethos should make a beeline towards mythology, for this evolving tradition of myths is the intuitive, collective outcome of an ageless, nameless, and diverse thought process. They are the keepers of our soul, so to say, and the keepers of many cultural traits. Since myths have the capacity to resonate deep in the inner realms of our very being, they address common issues that we are in search of answers for. Some can leave us with a message that pushes us to reflect and sometimes even change our lives. This is, of course, only once we decode their metaphoric idiom and hyperbole. What excites and
Sample complete. Ready to continue?